On our way home now, we crossed the border a few minutes ago, and we are headed back to Guelph, Ontario. Just an absolutely fantastic weekend with the babies, but I don't want them to overshadow the horses that we went with. Even the qualifiers. We talked about my 1%, how good he qualified, how the horses schooled, how good they schooled this week. Brace for Landing was good, how the Hell was good. Gypsy qualified. Who's the other schooler? The third schooler? Absolute Euphoria schooled well also. So I wanted to talk about all the racehorses before we started gushing about the babies and how good many of them looked. I know last week, starting with Sunday night, Red Overbach, I thought raced good. I had told Megan he's not really known for his sprinting, but finished as hard as I'd ever seen him the week before. Not really known for his fighting on the front end. Kind of just you have him in the right place at the right time and get the job done type of horse. And put him on the front. And get beat fair and square, but a good mile, 54 and a piece, 55. I thought the horse looked really, really good. And Landing Strip last Sunday, I guess got roughed up a little bit from post 8, but I thought the horse raced well and did a good job. And this week looks like he's got a softer spot. I see he's like 6-5 morning line, so it's a good spot for him to be in. Error of Love also got the job done. Just held on by half a length, but a new lifetime mark again. We've raced her twice, guys. Ava. 2 times we've raced Error of Love. This is 2 new lifetime marks, and it looks like she's heading in the right direction. Now, Monday I was supposed to race 3 horses in Kentucky. Didn't get to do that. The races were canceled right before my very eyes, and they were pushed to Monday. Great job by Chris Lem. So we'll talk about him in a minute. Pushed to Tuesday, right. On Monday, I got to watch Monday evening, got to watch Mohawk, and man, the horses were great. Yes, Tiger made a break. He'll do that once in a while. I see Sylvain's driving him this week. We did make a little tiny shoeing adjustment on him. We'll see how that plays out this week. Locatelli was a good second. Looked great. Unbeatable Kemp might have been 4th, but very interesting mile from him. He finished up very strong and looked very, very good. So I'm interested. We talk about all the horses and how we're trying to, maneuver them in the right direction, whether that be manage them, whether that be putting them in the pool or galloping them, or a number of different ways on the walker. There's a number of different things we do to try and help mitigate some of the issues that they're going through. And it looks like all the work that everybody, Michelle, yourself, and Dominic, everybody has put into Unbeatable Kemp seems to be coming forward, because the other day, the way he finished up his mile, that's as good as I've seen Unbeatable Kemp in quite a while. So impressed with him. Stay Close looked absolutely awesome. Now down the lane, it looked like James was just buggy riding, but he was actually holding him together. Those hobbles were a little tight on him still too, so we're going to go back to the other hobbles, I believe, for Monday evening. And I don't know if the hobbles are going to be able to help him on Monday evening. That is a salty crew that he hooked onto Monday. But he's coming off 53 and a piece win. We'll see how good he is on Monday. And then Carter Michael Dio stole the show. The horse was awesome. That big, huge rush on the end of it to win it. We had him slated to go to the Battle of Bunker Hill. I had to back him in the next day. Dominic said, hey, Addie, Angelica was going to be there in the afternoon to look at Carter Michael Dio. She said, yeah, we'll do his knees. We'll do that left hind ankle. Just work on him. She said the right knee, the fluid was a little watery, which wasn't shocking. Left hind ankle was a little dry. And I said, we got a long year ahead of us. Maybe we'll just skip the Battle of Bunker Hill. And that's exactly what we did. Mostly because not just a new track, but I don't really know the track that well. And I do know the Poconos is a very forgiving 5/8. He's going to go Poconos and then head back towards the Meadows, as opposed to squeezing Plain Ridge in there when I don't know the track. What if he doesn't get around the track well? What if it does bother him a little bit? What if he comes up, heaven forbid, he comes up a little sore afterwards? I don't want to do that, so let's just do the work and wait the week. We did send Spitfire overseas down there. Jogged great, has been eating good, feeling good. His blood work was a tiny bit concerning when he got down there. Mark and Melissa had drawn the blood on him and said that his differential was flipped. I hate seeing that. A lot of times the horses will be a little lethargic when their differentials flip. Now Mark said he's quite the opposite. He's eating everything, he's feeling great, he's sharp as a tack. I guess part of me wishes he hadn't drawn his blood, but I don't think there's enough there to warrant him being scratched unless there's some sort of regression or decline between now and Monday afternoon, I think we stay the course with this guy. I don't really see anything going on that would make us want to scratch him. So we'll see how everything plays out with him. But irregardless, he's certainly coming into the race razor sharp with that big qualifier at Mohawk last week. And as I said to Amy, we did have some horses qualify this week. I guess we'll get to them at the end of the week. Tuesday, we had a big mile from Crantini. Now, Crantini was acting up quite a bit in the warm-up and in the post-parade. But as I said to Megan and Scott, we trained him down on a farm. Mohawk was 15 minutes away. We're going to have to figure out a way to get him from his stall to the starting gate in the most stress-free way. The good news is he wants to do his work. He certainly didn't look for any ways out in the mile, but we got to get him to the mile. So I'll leave that up to Scott and Megan, but I believe that there'll be no issues with that's not true. I hope that there's no issues with Crantini. We always know that there's always those voices, whispering in his ears, and none of them are very kind, mind you, and I don't know if a whole lot of them like to do their work well. But Crantini is doing his work well, has done his work well in 2023, and I expect that trend to continue as we head into the summer. Horn Player was good. Now, she did not get back in this week. We put her on Lasix. I thought, looking at the mile for sure, she just come up a little bit short. Did she bleed a little bit down there in the heat? More than likely she did. She's on Lasix. We'll make her next start. We'll be on Lasix. And then Stay Special. My only concern with Stay Special is because they canceled that program, we had to come back in 5 days with her. Now, should we have come back in 12 days? Maybe. It's bugging me a little bit. I just had a great conversation with Eric, though, and he said, Anthony, no, Philly feels great. She looks the same way now as she did going into the race. There doesn't seem to be any more stress or pain in her knees than there was before the race last week. I personally have no reason to believe that there's any issues there. So be it. He's our man on the ground. He's the guy that's sitting there taking care of the filly. Him and Kathy are the ones rubbing on her knees and jogging her and putting her away. And if they feel that she's good, then so be it. She's good. So Stay Special. Although I was a little concerned, and I'm probably going to be maybe quietly trimming my nails a little bit tomorrow afternoon. She is in a good spot. It looks like a good start for her tomorrow in Kentucky. And then we went to Wednesday, and Coupe de Ville was a coming out party for her. She was absolutely tremendous on Wednesday. First over, and what I loved, I always talk about that merciless attack when they just keep coming. They clear to the lead and they don't let up. They just drive away. I love to see that. I mean, good horses do that. And, she's a lightly raced 3-year-old, so you can say, they're just green or whatever, but when they just keep driving away, it's impressive, and she did it under wraps. So really impressed with her. Smoking Hot Irish Girl, fastest mile of her life, 57 flat. I thought she looked good too. Lots of room to grow for that particular filly. And Mo Power Baby made a break in Indiana now. And Mo Power Baby's coming back. This is 2 starts in a row she made a break. And listen, I think the world of Ross. I think he does a good job, and we're going to do business in the future. But this particular filly, we're going to bring her back, see if we can get her back on the straight and narrow, and get her back on the straight and narrow, get her qualified and get her racing. That's the plan for Mo Power Baby. Clearly Indiana's going to be a tough sell for her this year. That's fine. There's lots of racing for her everywhere. We'll see how she comes back. We'll see how she requalifies, and then we'll pivot and move her to somewhere where she can do some good right now. Then we went to Friday. We had the qualifiers. Do you have the qualifiers on your phone?
Yeah, so it was my 1%.
My 1% was fantastic. At the qualifier. 28 flat. Sort of looks and feels like he means business right now, and I can't wait to race him next week. Please don't do that, sweetheart. We went Renegade Gypsy, who was a little bit the opposite, a little docile, a little flat, nothing in his blood work, scoped good. I just think between the heat and getting him ready for the races, he just wasn't awesome at the qualifiers. But listen, we know how good Renegade Gypsy is. We know what's in there. We know what's under the hood. So it's just a matter, as I said to Mario, when he looks like he wants to rock, he'll rock. And it just seemed like he was a little blah the other day. And it was 27 degrees. So did that play a role? Quite possibly it did. He seemed like he was sharp enough in the burn later on. So we'll leave that to Mario and company to get him squared away for his first start. And then we had 3 strong schoolers also. James said absolutely 4. He was good. I think he said 56, 57. He did say the maiden at Mohawk might be tough. Well, we'll race her in the maiden at Mohawk. If it is too tough for her, she'll probably make her way south somewhere. Do we send her down to Scioto? Possibly. I don't think there's much point in sending her to Northfield Park because, asking her to pace 56-55 over Mohawk is one thing. Asking her to do it on a half-mile track might be another. So we'll see. Let's see what happens at Mohawk first. But I was happy with Absolute Euphoria. Brace for Landing, very strong schooler from him, 58 in a piece, but shut down and really, really sharp going through the wire. And then we went with How the Hell. Tried him without the hobbles first schooler. He made a break. James went with him in the last schooler with the hobbles on. He was making a little noise pulling up, but that's him. Par for the course. But still won a good mile. So we'll requalify him. We'll qualify him on Friday morning at Mohawk. So that was Friday. We went into Saturday, and although Coupe de Ville really caught my eye, and I thought she was maybe got top marks for the week, more than you know, and first over winner in 15-4. It's one thing to sit in the two-hole, follow speed, and attack a buoy, a horse that was looking to get beat kind of on the front end. It's quite another to come first over, and that horse is taken well to Pennsylvania, is taken well to the Meadows. His next start will be in the Stallion Series at the Poconos, I believe. We'll probably shoot him down to Megan and then come right back to the Meadows for him. He's just PA sire, so if I'm not mistaken, it's Poconos, Meadows, Philadelphia, but it might be Poconos, Philadelphia, Meadows. And if that's the case, then Megan can race in Poconos, Philly, I guess, and then send him back.
Philadelphia is always the week.
It's different this year. Plus, the first one was the Meadows, so the next two was more than likely Poconos, Philadelphia, I would say.
Usually the first starts in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and he's very, very good right now. So I expect that to continue. Tim's done a great job with him, and he'll make his way back to Tim soon enough. Austral Hanover, talk about Tim doing a good job. I just it felt to me, and I referenced it last week, that Austral seemed like he was getting the rust, shaking the rust off a little bit, and that he's that meat and potatoes horse. You weren't going to see that big flash like you did with More Than You Know. You would see that slow grind forward, and I was just wondering, is he as good as I think he is, or is he just going to come back as good as he was at 2 and just kind of be present, be a very present figure in the Stallion Series circuit? And although the mile on Saturday doesn't change that, it certainly answers the question is yes, racing against 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds, and Aaron cut him loose on Saturday. I didn't mind that trip. And, Aaron had said it, and I said to Tim, I think in this case Aaron's right. Aaron said, you know what, stretch him out a little bit, it doesn't hurt him. And to be truthful, I kind of agree with him in this sense. 123 in a piece, a mile, and 52 in a piece should have been enough to win an Hours of 4 trot, I think. Hours of 4 but not 6, or 3 but not 5, whatever the hell it is. The horse looked good. He looked good. He got beat fair and square by an aged horse, and I think he was 4th place, 3rd, trotted 53 and 2, big mile for Austral Hanover. And I can tell you one thing, he's not going to lick his wounds. He'll come right out swinging again next week. That's what I love about this horse. And that mile the other day certainly won't change that. More Than You Know, as I said, was great. But then we got to watch War with Yuri. I just thought War with Yuri was going to get down there and pound them, to be honest. And that was stupid of me to think that. Of course there's other horses around, and Bruce Richardson's horse looks like a layover in that series. Now, I liked what I heard from Mario. Mario said, Bruce Richardson's horse is going to the grassroots. I said, okay. He said, I'd just like to stay at the City of London. I think you are absolutely 100% correct. I think that's the best thing you can do. Leave both those horses in the City of London next week. War with Yuri, that trip you gave him was smart. That was the right move, the right drive for the right horse, and I think it'll pay dividends down the road. As far as cash deals, absolutely leave her there. City of London is where those two should stay. If we miss the first grassroots, so be it. I don't really care, to be honest. Truthfully, looking at James's horses division and the other horses division the other night, nothing but a dreamer might be a grassroots horse. Again, to be quite frank, 52 and 53, it's a lot. Some heavy lifting right there. So there's going to be some trickle down into the grassroots, and War with Yuri might be better off. City of London, prospect for a couple of starts. We got bigger fish to fry down the line with War with Yuri than getting beat up at a grassroots event. I can assure you of that. And if Bruce Richardson's horse is going to the grassroots, I guess that does mean by order of elimination that we are a prospect horse, so to speak, just yet. I think when you look at where Yuri's breeding, when you look at his body type, his muscle type, how he's progressing, just race him where he can do good. It's the same. It's the same philosophy we try to put forward for every horse. Put him in where he can win. And I think Mario is 1,000% correct. Go back to the City of London with Cash Deals and Warwi Yuri. And then we had, speaking of Dreamer, had to scratch him the other night because he was sick. Yes, sweetheart. Okay, you're going to have to wait a second, sweetie. So, Nothing But a Dreamer, we had to scratch him the other night. This time of year, we're always going to have horses come up. I talked at the start of this video about how the blood wasn't necessarily perfect, even on Spitfire Overseas, even though he seemed great. You know, ate all his food, jogging, sharp as attack. Everything says all systems go. You look at his blood and you're like, all right, we have to work on this, we have to work on that. And you know, 3-4 days out, you probably should be able to. So again, I guess thanks is in order to Mark and Melissa to begin with. Turn that down, sweetie. Thank you. Thanks is in line for Mark and Melissa to be right on top of that. They must have drawn that horse's blood when he came off the truck, or at least very first thing.
He also trained at Mohawk the day before.
That's right. He trained at Mohawk the day before, so that might have been a little screwy. And then he shipped. You're right. So we'll see. We'll see how that is. But when it came to Nothing But a Dreamer, slight temperature, didn't eat his lunch. Everything about him presented as don't race this horse. So that's exactly what we were going to do. Where it's the opposite for Spitfire Overseas. Everything he's presenting is this guy's ready to rock. Okay, keep an eye on it, address the situation. We can redraw that blood on Monday if you like, but as of right now, it seems like Mark and Melissa just barely get out in front of that, which could be a big deal. So a great thanks to them. As I talk right now on Saturday, a great thanks to them for staying on top of that. And then JK Victory continues to make gains. You know, I was a little concerned when I saw Trace take him off the gate the other night. I'm like, here's a horse that he went down the road with last week. Does he not think as much of him tonight? I know he's up a little bit in class, but he just drove him smart is what he did, you know, because he's a good driver. You know, put him in a spot where he could advance down the lane, looked like he was going to be second, ended up third, paced, 49 4, 150 again, but looked like a horse that was coming forward again. Didn't look stretched out, didn't look like, oh, he was on his last legs when he got to the wire. And quite frankly, I thought he looked sounder this week.
I was going to say, he didn't do well.
Yeah, no, I thought he looked sounder. This week. I think that they have this horse moving in the right direction. So that's all you can ask for when it comes to the horses. You know, we've been so lucky throughout the last year and a half, and if we look at every instance and every horse and every situation and every file, there's going to be some black marks, some things. Geez, this didn't go well, or this really sucked, or geez, that was tough that happened. And you guys know what I'm talking about. We've had stuff happen, and we will. We have a big stable. But looking at the stable.ca in general, looking at the 3-year-olds coming forward, looking at our aged horses, the horses coming back also. We still have Atlas Hanover and Kings County to qualify, but to name a few that are getting ready right now. So to look at the entire body of work of the stable right now, I think we're poised to have a great summer, and then that's only, I believe that was only accentuated by looking at the babies today. It was just so uplifting to watch the horses training good again in Ontario, and then come to Ohio and see the horses just ask them just a little bit to perform just a little bit, and it really looked uplifting, right? To see Pickpocket come out and train the way he did, to see Born to Dance just explode forward from nowhere, seemingly. It's Sedona Hill somehow found calmness, found serenity, and behaved herself, and then still attacked in the mile and did her work well. These were all highlights. Pull the shoes, you know, just the way that she looked. I was just so proud of the entire group. Yeah, we had our moments like, oh snap, you made a break. That stuff, she can make that break today. She's not going to do it next week. I know exactly what we're going to do. I will go with Snap You. She's going to train a little bit harder on Wednesday, where everybody else is probably just going to have an easy day. But we will get Snap You screwed down, and we will get a look at what's under the hood long before we ever have to head to Scioto for that next generation stake. So, really pleased with the 2-year-olds. Really pleased with the sophomores. Can't wait to see racing this week. Can't wait to see racing tonight. We missed Gandalf Black. Can't wait to watch everybody race. And for everybody out there watching this, I hope you had a great weekend. It really was a great day in Northfield Park, and I would like to plant this seed in everybody's head for the fall, when we're going to have our open house in the fall leading into the winter, the first part of December. take some time, think about it. Ask anybody that was there today at Northfield. It's a great time to be had. It's a nice place to watch the horses train, and it was a lot of fun. So with that, I'm going to let you go. We still got to talk about the 2-year-olds and the 3-year-olds and the racehorses, but for now, my opening was a little shorter because our dueling top 10 lists were a little bit longer. We'll be back with the 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, and racehorses in just a second.